NRL vids, and I'm back in a video today. This is my Newcastle Knights 2020 NRL season review. Just before I did my Fantasy Rugby League show episode number 17 just a few minutes ago, and I just check it out because I've got a few topics about today, and I think you guys could be interested in it. So check out my Fantasy Rugby League show episode number 17 video. But today this is my Newcastle Knights 2020 NRL season review, and let's get into it. So, the Knights in 2020, they really it was a big success for the Knights in 2020. Let's put it that way. They made the top 8. They came 7th. There's a lot of positives for Newcastle. Their young players really stood up, and their experienced players really led from up front. I thought guys like Kalen Ponga were good again, but at the end of the year, I thought Ponga's form was a bit scratchy. But around the middle, most of the year, Kalen Ponga had a very decent year. So was Mitch Barnett, who's consistent as always. Lachlan Fitzgibbon, he's really impressed me this year. And Nari Tawala, I didn't know he was this good actually. He had a really good season from making the move from the North Queensland Cowboys to the Knights in 2020, and he's got plenty of tries. Was very good. And he had a good year at Tawala for a young kid. So was Harmel Hunt. I thought he did alright on the wing again. I think the Knights have a very good team. I think at full strength they have a great team. Their forward pack's really strong. They've got a pretty decent back line, but I'd like to see them get another strike sort of centre with experience. Maybe James Roberts would be pretty good for the Knights or something like that. Even though Brett Naden could go back to the Knights because he used to play there. I think Knights need just one more centre, and maybe a decent 5'8". Even though Kurt Mann's solid, I think Knights may need another 5'8" just to take a little bit more pressure off Mitchell Pearce. So Mitchell Pearce doesn't have to do everything by himself all the time, or at least most times. So I think Knights have had a very good season, but I mean they've been inconsistent once again. They've lost to some teams that they shouldn't have based on the form. They lost to the Warriors 36-6. And that was one of their season lowlights. They lost to the Gold Coast Titans in the final round of the regular season. In the Gold Coast, 36-6 also, I'm pretty sure, or something like that. So, and they lost, and they lose to the Bulldogs at home as well in Newcastle. They lose to the Bulldogs 18 points to 12. So, the Knights, they have had some good wins as well. They've been Manly in Newcastle. They've beaten the Raiders in the start of the year. That was probably their best win in my opinion. They have also beaten the Sharks pretty well. They've had some great wins in the Knights this year, but they've also had some very awful losses. Like also against the Cowboys in Townsville, that was a pretty bad loss. They got ambushed in that game. That's for sure. But no, I think the Knights are a very good team when they're consistent, but there's still a bit of inconsistency in that team somewhere. So they've got to fix that, the Knights, but they've got a great team, and a lot of their players really succeeded in 2020. It was unfortunately they got knocked out the first week of the finals against the Rabbitohs, but I think that Knights will be better next year. That's for sure. And I'm actually excited to see what the Knights future holds because I think they have a very good team. I mean, I've already seen a few people write them off next year because I think and some people have already said in their later predictions that they might finish outside the top 8, but I don't think so. So far, I think they make the top 8. They've got a great team. They've got Pearce, Clemmer, Ponga, Edric Lee, Fitzgibbon, Barnett, and Jayden Brayley, and got Tyson Frizzell coming, and that's just a great mix of talent there, and experience and youth, and the young players like Brad and Bess, who's just getting better, and Nari Tawala, they're all getting better, and they've got a very solid team, Newcastle, and I think that they should get well again next year, but I think 2020 for them has been a real success, and from being the Wooden Spoons for 3 years in a row, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018 they went for a big rebuild, and 2018 they finished 11th. They did pretty well that year, despite coming the past 3 seasons at last and later. Then 2019 they were good again, but they finished 11th, and they weren't that great that year, but they did alright. Then they sacked Nathan Brown in 2020 and signed Adam O'Brien, who's an unproven first grade coach, but is a proven really good assistant coach who's been champion systems like the Roosters and the Storm in the past, and and he's really added this some sort of defensive mentality for the Knights, because if you've been watching the Knights this year, their defense has been really good this year, better than the previous years, and their attacks have been pretty solid again with Ponga and Pearce doing their job. But their defence has been really good this year, and defence wins you games. That's why the Knights have been winning so many solid matches this year off the back of their defence. So, well done to Adam O'Brien, really, on really steering this Knights team around. He's really got their culture back there again. He's, made some. He's really worked with the squad that Nathan Brown couldn't do. I mean, Nathan Brown, he had the squad. He had his chances, but I think he's just blew them. And Adam O'Brien got the best out of the squad more than what Nathan Brown originally did with the Knights squad. So been a good year for Knights, and I think they should go better next year. But he's my star player for the 2020 for them. So my star player for the Knights of 2020, it goes to Mitch Barnett. I believe, in my opinion, he's been the best player. Very consistent. Doesn't do much wrong in his game. I mean, you could have considered Callum Ponga up there, possibly Mitchell Pearce and all that, and Clemmer, but I thought Mitchell Barnett was the most consistent. He's just a great defender. He's a very solid player, Barnett, and he's someone else that I was a little bit surprised did not get mentioned at all near the Blues squad, because I believe that he's someone that should be representing the State of Origin eventually. I got a feeling that he should be around the rep talks, but it happens. But he's a very underrated player, Mitch Barnett, and he does his job every week. He's solid, and Knights are lucky to have a player like him. I think that he's going to have another big year in 2021, especially with the working with Tyson Frizzell. That should be really good in the forwards. And I like Mitch Barnett. He's a great player who's experienced. He started his career off the Raiders in 2016 mid-season. He went to the Knights, and ever since he's done pretty well at Knights. So well done to Mitch Barnett on a great 2020. But this one's I guess you can say there's other players as well that could be considered as their star player of the year. But mine's Mitch Barnett. My worst player for the Knights. Now this is really hard. This could be considered harsh. I mean, I might be being a little bit harsh here, and I know it's been his first year in first grade playing the NRL, but my worst player goes to Chris Randall, the young hooker for the Knights, and I mean, I like Chris. I think Chris Randall's a young player with possible potential in the future, but we'll see what happens. But I just look at Chris Randall when he was playing this year, and I thought that he just doesn't offer much at all. In that Rabbitohs game, he had one of the worst games of probably his career so far. He really looked tired in the middle. He just didn't look, ready yet. He just looked very fatigued. He just didn't, because I was at the Rabbitohs Knights game, the finals week 1. I was at that game, and I was analysing his game really closely, and he just did not, control a game well. He just did not control the game as a hooker, which he should be doing. He just didn't run the ball one bit. He just kept them passing. He was just like a pedestrian in that game. He just kept them passing the ball. Didn't really run or thread the line at all. He just didn't do much. Chris Randall, I know he's only his first year. He has plenty. Look, it was only his first year. Chris Randall I know he has a good future in front of him, but I mean, his first year wasn't that great in my opinion. I thought that was some games he pretty much didn't do great in. I just thought that his impact was very little for the Knights this year at hooker, and I think that when they get Jayden Brailey back in Newcastle, I think that's when we're going to see probably a more controlled and more better side of the Knights with Brailey back. But no disrespect to Chris Randall, but I don't think he's ready yet. I think he's just nothing but a backup reserve grade player. But we'll see how Chris Randall goes. It might be a little bit harsh saying he's their worst player, but honestly, I think Chris Randall just isn't ready, and his impact's very little for that Newcastle Knights team. My surprise packet player of the year, it goes to Nari Tuala. Nari Tuala has just surprised me this year. I didn't think he would, be in that Knights team starting. I mean, I had a feeling would be, but at the start of the year, but I did not expect him to score that many tries for the Knights. And he looks like a real threat on the wing and centres for the Knights. And I remember around the middle of the season when Knights were, pushing for top 4. I remember him being discussed as a potential State of Origin player for Queensland. That was a potential selection right there for Nari Tuala, but obviously didn't happen. But, I mean, he's had a really good 2020 season. It's been unexpected. I did not see this coming from someone like a Nari Tuala. I always thought that Nari Tuala was just that sort of player who would, just do his job and just not nothing else. Just I didn't think he was that effective, but he's a really effective centre wing player. And if you ask me what his best position is, I think it's on the wing. I actually like Anari Sawala on the wing. I think Anari Sawala should go on the wing and put Harmer Hutt in the centres. I think it's how the Knights should be rolling for 2021, in my opinion. But I really like Anari Chawala. I think he's got a good future at the Cowboys. You know, he was okay, but I don't think he was as good as what he